This week, almost every single character was working out at the gym in Young and the Restless, and outside of the gym, we got to see a much anticipated kiss between Victoria and Billy. Stay tuned for this week's Restless Wrap.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hey everyone, welcome to Restless Wrap. My name is Rachel Goodman, and I am super excited to be talking about this week's episodes of The Young and the Restless. As I said in the intro, pretty much every single character on the show decided they needed to choose this week to go and work out. And I say that because we had maybe like 4 or 5 different confrontations or just conversations in general that took place at the gym. I don't know why, but all of a sudden it was, workout week for The Young and the Restless. And I just wanted to point that out because it's not part of my law moment, but I thought it was kind of funny. We had Victor and Nick at the gym. That was one of the first scenes in the first episode. We had Tessa and Noah, not confrontationally, but they were just having a conversation. Jordan and Kane had a confrontation. Scott and Abby had a confrontation. Hillary was watching Devon working out. And then we had another conversation with Tessa and Mariah. So I've never seen them focus so much on working out. Maybe it's a back to school thing or a fall thing. I do not know. But thank you guys for being here today. We have some awesome people in the chat right now. We have Demo, we have Aaron, Candace, Nikisha. Hey, you guys, welcome back. And thank you for always being part of the show. It definitely helps me as the host, having all my amazing co-hosts on board. And as always, if anyone has any comments, feel free to chime in at any time. I would love to get your take on everything that's happened this week. So just kind of looking at some of the comments so far, we had someone mentioning Chelsea getting jealous when Nick was hugging Sharon. Definitely, and we will totally get to that. And then Demo mentioned poor Abby, her boyfriend is playing her for a fool. Aaron, I can't wait. Nick and Sharon to get back together. Yeah, definitely. Honey Smile is here. Hi, Honey Smile. They say, I wish they would put Mariah and Tessa together already. I want Devon with Hillary. Yeah, I completely agree with you. And it's so obvious, especially this week, that Mariah and Tessa are completely into each other. And Devon, oh my God, like he just cannot get over Hillary, and literally everything she says he just believes without even thinking twice. He just jumps. Oh, really? So Jordan is taking advantage of Lily? It's gotta be true. But I also sensed he didn't really like Jordan to begin with. But before we get into all that, let's start with the fact that just real briefly, we'll talk about the fact that this is 1 year since Adam's death is what they mentioned this week. And Chelsea seemed incredibly, obviously very deeply upset still. And I still think Adam's going to come back at some point. I don't know how or when, and it may even be a different actor because I don't think it's going to be the same guy who was playing him since he's now on This Is Us. So I think I read somewhere that he would not be coming back, but who knows? Maybe that is not going to remain true. We'll see. I'll be real curious, especially with how they keep kind of mentioning Adam and then they just sort of drop it. I'll be real curious what happens when Adam comes back. If Adam comes back, we don't know for certain that he will. And so that was kind of where I wanted to start. What are all of your ideas on what's happening with Adam? Do you think he's going to come back? And if he does, what do you think is going to happen? So we'll wait for the comments on that. All right, we already have some comments. Candace says, 1 year since Adam has been gone. Nikisha, yeah, it's been a year. And all right, we do have a comment about the gym from Brittany Duran. Yes, gym was the place to be this week on The Young and the Restless. Yes, it was. And I've never seen more working out in my entire life on a show. So that was very interesting. Aaron says, Adam will be back one day. Yeah, I definitely think it's going to happen. They keep hinting at it so much. Oh, Terrell says, hi, Rachel. Hi, Terrell. Thanks for joining tonight. It's great to see all of you guys. And Candace says, I think Adam will take Chloe since she won't be with Kevin. Huh, that's interesting. Speaking of Chloe and Kevin, I thought the other rumor was that Kevin was supposed to come back too, but without Chloe. So we'll see what happens with that. It's interesting how they kind of, keep you on your seat in anticipation because you really don't know with some of the characters who's actually going to come back and when. That's one thing I've noticed with The Young and the Restless, which I am not complaining. It's interesting, but they take it they almost take it very slowly with what's happening, but you really get to know the characters extremely well. But that being said, it could be a long time before Adam or Kevin or Chloe come back at all, but we'll see. Demo says, I think Adam will pop up at Nick and Chelsea's wedding. Huh, interesting. That would be a very, interesting way to do it. Nikisha says, I still think that Adam is in Australia with Philip the third and Rafi, who's his hubby. That would be interesting too. I'm curious, it seems like that the Adam and Rafi storyline, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing Rafe wrong, but I was not watching when he was on the show, but it seems like they just dropped the storyline that they had with those two characters and the romance that was going on between them. So I'll be curious if Adam does come back, if maybe they'll bring back other people as well. Brittany Duran says, yes, he can't because he didn't even think twice before he confronted Jordan. He just believed her. Please, can they stop dragging it out and just put them together already? I think we're talking about, Devon and Hillary. Yeah. We'll see what happens with that. The thing with Hillary, I definitely see chemistry between Devon and Hillary. The thing with Hillary is I don't see her in any relationship because she always wants what she can't have. Even Jordan, it feels like she only wanted him, like she kind of wanted him. Like, it's not that she was ignoring him when she was dating him, but when he dumped her, it's like she went from only kind of sort of being interested to, oh my God, like I need Jordan. And then of course it went back to, okay, I'm going to get Devon back now. Just like a, switch of a light with her. So I'll be interested what they actually do with it. It does seem like they're leaning toward that, especially with the confrontation between Mariah and Devon the other week. And I think Mariah and Devon are definitely over at this point. But what do you guys think about that? And we will go back to the comments. Terrell says Noah would have been 20 years old in real time. Interesting. Yeah, because I'm curious how old he actually is. I was assuming he was in his 20s. 20 seemed a little too young. The actor portraying him, to me, looks like he's in his mid to late 20s. So, but I know how they like to age kids really quickly on the show. Candace says they dropped the storyline with Adam and Rafe because CBS got negative calls and the actor who played Adam at the time didn't like the storyline. Interesting. I actually think I read about the actor not liking the storyline, but that's interesting, about the negative calls. I'm not sure how long ago it was that they did that. It was only like 3 or 4 years ago, I think. I could be wrong on that. But I would be interested to see how people would react now. Terrell says Lily was born in 1995, which would make her 22 years old in real time. Yeah, that's real interesting with Lily, because I remember with Kevin, he was introduced and he was like the internet, like cyber guy who was talking to Lily in like 2003. So obviously they aged Lily really fast if she was born in 95. Brittany says, and yes, I know for sure they are bringing Kevin back, so it makes me think it probably didn't work out between him and Chloe. Yeah. Yeah, probably, because if Chloe was coming back, then we probably would have heard rumors about that too. But in any case, let's get into the episodes a little bit. So let's start with the sex ring. So we had Alice when we first started hearing more about everything going on. And if you didn't know before, she was, I think in last week's episodes, she was also talking to Zach. So it was pretty much confirmed on the viewer's end that she was definitely part of the sex ring. But at this point, we start to get more of a feeling that Zach is the one in control. He is the boss. Before, I thought that Alice was the boss of the sex ring. But this week, we started seeing a really crazy side of Zach. Before, he was kind of like, he was kind of a jerk. But this week's episode, he came off like, just a terrible person. And they're talking about Rainbow Girl, which is obviously Crystal, Tessa's sister. So pretty much, we find out that Zach has something planned for Rainbow Girl. We don't really know exactly what it is. I'm assuming that making her a premier girl means that she'll just be the number one client who keeps going out not the client. She'll be the number one woman that they send out to their clients every week or every day or however often someone goes out. But they weren't real clear about the nature of what they do with the women, if it goes beyond that, or what else they're doing that controls them. It's just a very sick scheme that they have going on. And Zach, it's crazy how well that actor is playing Zach, because I always sensed there was something up with him, but he always came off as generally a nice person, until this week when we saw just how crooked and horrible he really is. Meanwhile, we have Sharon and Tessa, and basically Sharon wants Tessa to send her a picture of Crystal. So you know that is going to somehow tie into all this eventually, because somehow my prediction is that Sharon is going to find out, now that she has the picture, she's going to find out that Rainbow Girl is Crystal somehow, some way. But it's going to be that plot piece where we know that Sharon now has a picture of Crystal that she can compare it when she sees this picture of Rainbow Girl. And okay, so we get into like some conversations with Tessa and Abby. I thought that was interesting because at this point, Abby had not had any issues with Zach. So when she's talking to Tessa, she's pretty much talking about Zach like he's her actual boyfriend. And it made me feel so bad. I generally, I remember I was saying last week that I was kind of lukewarm toward Abby as a character. But she's starting to grow on me as a character because I feel really bad for her, knowing that this guy Zach, what he's actually up to, and that to her face, he's lying and acting like this sweet, like good person, and it's very believable. And even Victor, at least as far as we know right now, even Victor is buying into it. So this guy, Zach, is good at conning people and scheming and pretending to be someone he is just not. So this conversation with Tessa and Abby, I just felt so bad for Abby. And I was like, oh, like as the viewer, I was like, no, you need to find out somehow, like there needs to be something that clues you both into the nature of Zach. But no, realistically, we didn't get it. Aaron says, Tessa is going to end up dead looking for Crystal. Yeah. Okay, so that is real interesting too. I guess let's get into the last part of this week when basically Tessa and Mariah go looking for Crystal at the house. Well, they're not sure if Crystal's there. All they know is that Alice is there, who they now are, pretty much guessing that she's part of the sex ring. So they show up and Tessa is like, yeah, no, Mariah, you can't come with me because chances are Alice is going to recognize you as Cassie. And Mariah tried to say, well, she only knew Cassie's a little girl. But the thing is, it doesn't matter. Mariah looks even as an adult, I've seen pictures of Cassie, the character, and I've seen pictures of when the actress was playing Cassie as a young girl. She's very recognizable. So I think Alice would instantly recognize her anyway, no matter how many years it's been or how much she's aged. So Mariah not going with her because of Alice recognizing her, I understand that logic, but at the same time, Tessa going by herself is probably the most dangerous idea ever. Brittany Duran says, this is going back to Zach, oh yes, Zach should be nice to Abby because if he does anything to her, he will have to answer to Victor. I think at this point, he's going to have to answer to Victor either way. I just see it going that way. I see him, he's obviously going to break Abby's heart one way or another, and then Victor is going to go after this guy because the relationship that Victor has with Abby is super tight, and he even, we saw my law moment, if he does anything to you, yeah, Victor's going after Zach, and that will be an amazing episode and will probably be my law moment because it will be amazingly awesome, but also probably hilarious because of Victor. Honey Smile 320 says, Nikki was a stripper. I think that was in response to another comment. Correct me if I'm wrong there. Candace Mack, here's where Young and the Restless messes up, because Alice was at Cassie's funeral. She knew Cassie died. Yeah, she did. Maybe I missed this, but I kind of figured that Alice did know that Cassie died. But you're right, though. She probably wouldn't be approaching Sharon and Nick the way that she did if she was actually at the funeral. So, interesting. Demo says, I feel like Alice would be easy on Mariah since she looks like Cassie. You have a really good point. And if Mariah and Tessa had planned this in a different way, they should have used that to their advantage. And I almost wonder if Mariah should have done like the reverse of what she did to Nick and Sharon and basically pretend to be, well, not the reverse. Mariah pretended to be Cassie. So if she should have just done that again, except done it to Alice to like mess with her. That would have been the best plan. And I feel like I get the idea that Alice is doing the sex ring because she's trying to, in like some sick way, she's trying to make up for everything that happened with Cassie, even though she's completely failing and doing the opposite of what a person should do. But I feel like Cassie might be her interior motivation for that. And if she saw Mariah, who's pretending to be Cassie, it would spook her and really mess with her and change this plot in a very positive way. And it would be pretty interesting too. But let me know what you guys think about that. Honey Smile, I think Victor already knows about Zach to some degree. He was too calm and knew who he was dealing with. Yeah, I wasn't sure. We'll find out, I guess, but I didn't know whether Victor was playing it too cool because he did know something, or if he was playing it cool because he actually believed him. We'll find out, but I was expecting that Victor would play it super cool, and then he would say, all right, Abby, excuse me for a moment, and he would take Zach off to the side privately and basically tell him, if you mess with my daughter, I will kill you, or something maybe not that extreme, or maybe that extreme, but something along those lines. If he actually knew, he would give Zach some kind of threatening message, like back off, pal. Honey Smile says, Mac is coming back without JT. Oh, Mackenzie Browning, Billy's first love. You know what? I am not sure because we'll see what everyone in the chat says, but I was not watching when Mackenzie was on. But that would be interesting considering everything going on with Billy right now. Which, speaking of which, I feel like that's a good way to segue into everything going on with Victoria and Billy. So let's talk about that. The kiss. It was amazing yet unexpected. I remember, like, my husband and I were watching this together, and when it happened, we were both like, what? And I think it was so unexpected that I started giggling a little, but in a good way because I did want it to happen. But of all the times that Victoria has been alone with Billy at Brash and Sassy, I did not expect this week to be the week, even though everything Billy is doing has been put Phyllis first, or sorry, Victoria and Brash and Sassy first over Phyllis. I mean, going into Phyllis's computer, getting information to help Brash and Sassy. I know he didn't technically mean it against Phyllis, but he clearly has certain priorities, and Victoria and his children with Victoria are definitely number one. And so, yeah, that kiss, I found it very interesting that it happened like that. And Billy was not stopping it. That was even more interesting. And I wonder how the conversation would have been different if Victoria hadn't cut it off and said, yeah, we shouldn't do this. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, you have Phyllis. She was the one stopping it. But if she had said, hey, I'm sorry, but I want to be with you, I'm picking up this vibe from Billy that he would have just said, okay, and just basically, broken it off with Phyllis and then gone back with Victoria right then and there. But either way, I find it interesting that Billy can just go home and talk to Phyllis and not really tell her what happened. Not that I don't know. I mean, it was a kiss, but still, he should still have said something to her and been honest. Of course, that probably would have been the end of their relationship, or Phyllis would have become more vindictive, but I guess it's going to come up at some point. It always does, so it's only a matter of time before Phyllis finds out. I wonder, too, not that Victoria would do this, but if they have any more elevator confrontations and Victoria really got heated, if she would throw it in Phyllis's face angrily one day. And, something like, yeah, well, guess what? He's kissing me behind your back, and he liked it. Something like that. But maybe not in those words. But I guess we'll see what happens. It will definitely, I just know, it's going to come back and cause more drama. But Phyllis and Billy, I don't see it lasting anyway. Terrell says, Phyllis would have known too much about Billy and Victoria's relationship. After all, Phyllis and Victoria didn't seem to get along at first. I think that's in response to... Oh, yeah, Demo. Billy hiding the kiss from Phyllis. Team Victoria from Demo. I agree. I am definitely Team Victoria. Nikisha says, me too, Team Victoria. Brittany Duran, yes, he would do anything for Victoria, and they will be together again soon. And when Phyllis finds out, she's going to be mad Billy kept it from her. Yeah, she seems like very crazy. I'm definitely Team Victoria. I do not like Phyllis that much. I wouldn't say I quite dislike her. I just don't particularly like her. And I could see her being getting real crazy when she finds out that Victoria kissed her man. Yeah, we'll see. I'll be curious to see what happens during that episode. Honey Smile 320 says, I wonder what happened to Daniel, Phyllis's son and Lily's first husband. He has a child the same age as the twins. I could see him and her getting back together and see Phyllis interact with her grandchild. Interesting. We'll see what happens. Demo, yes, I totally see Victoria throwing the kiss in Phyllis's face. Nice one, Rachel. Thank you. We'll see. We'll see what happens. It's just, they seem, when we get Phyllis and Victoria in the same area together, they both they get into like these huge cat fights. Because to me, Victoria is normally a very rational, calm person, but Phyllis just brings out this catty anger in her that we don't normally see. So I could totally see that happening. Terrell, still waiting for Adam to come back from the dead once and for all. I know the last actor who played Adam is on This Is Us now. Yeah, he is. Which is why I read somewhere that actor will not be coming back to Young and Restless. but I did hear rumors that another actor might be joining. Candace Max says Phyllis is going to get needy, which means she will do something to cause more problems for Victoria and Billy. I hope she doesn't play the pregnancy card. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I agree with you. She's going to do something. She's already doing things behind his back. I mean, here's the thing. I would have felt bad for Phyllis, but she is doing things and not telling Billy everything. So, you know, it takes two to tango. She's just as bad. Yeah, Billy's keeping things from her, but they're both doing it to each other. And obviously, Billy can't stop thinking about that kiss with Victoria. Just saying. Aaron, Summer's on vacation with her friends on an island somewhere. Interesting. We had a question about what happened to Summer, so that's the answer. So meanwhile, everything's going on with Victoria and Billy. So then we also have some drama going on with Deena and Ashley. That has to do with Graham. So basically, Deena I guess Graham had emailed Deena saying, here's the market report. And Ashley was with Robbie and they were on Deena's computer and they happened to notice this. And so Ashley confronts Deena about it, and Deena got very defensive. And I still think that there's a very much deeper reason why Graham's around. But Ashley saying that she just couldn't trust Graham from the first moment she heard about him, I'm on board with her, because even if there is a reason why he's around, I'm getting really bad vibes about Graham. He seems like he is up to no good. Even if, let's say that it turns out Deena does have Alzheimer's, Graham just does not seem like he has good intentions. And I especially thought that when we see Deena and Graham, and basically Graham's like, okay, well, you should quit that company. And I think Graham might be worried about Deena spending too much time around her children, because maybe her children will talk some sense into her. So I think that's his fear. But in any case, it was interesting that he's like, yeah, well, I have to go back to Paris. And when he leaves her, she looked incredibly scared. So I think it's Alzheimer's. That's my bet. That's what I've been thinking for a while. We'll find out. But if it is Alzheimer's and Graham is assigned to be with her because of it, then I dislike him even more, because he shouldn't just be running off and doing that without making sure that Deena is taken care of. So we'll see, unless they have some kind of unofficial situation and agreement. But still, even in that case, for someone to just leave her knowing that she's vulnerable, regardless, even if it's not Alzheimer's, Deena's clearly vulnerable and he knows that, and he's just leaving her without making sure she's okay. So, yeah, I don't like him. Dooliman says Graham is fine. Demo says Graham being his usual shady self. Terrell says, I know that the actress who played Mariah is going to be on a new show that will air on NBC called The Brave. Oh, that's interesting. I think she's my favorite actress on the show, so I will have to check that show out. Hubby Joe says Graham is still shady. Hi, Hubby Joe. And Demo says Graham wants that money. Yes, he does. Candace, I think Graham is her keeper. Yeah, that would make sense that they have some kind of arrangement like that. Either way, it's messed up that he would just say, yep, gotta go here. Like, I'm assuming it was a last minute thing that he told her. Who knows, though, if she has Alzheimer's, maybe she just forgot that he mentioned it before. But my guess is that he's just dropping this on her last minute, that he's going to Paris. And it almost seemed like he was doing it because he was angry with her and because she wasn't doing as he wished. So he was basically vindictively leaving, like, okay, well, fine, but I'm going to Paris. Demo, I think Graham is drugging Deena. That could be a really good explanation for it too, because if he's drugging her, then that could be why she has those moments where she forgets certain things because of a drug that he's giving her. Nikisha says, I agree that Graham is her keeper. Everyone's agreeing. Oh, yeah. Aaron says Graham is very hot, and Dooliman says, I agree. And Terrell says, Katherine Chancellor is crying and screaming in her grave. Yeah, that's... I went back and I watched some of the original episodes, so I could imagine that. Okay, so we talked about Deena, we talked about Ashley. Let's talk about Tessa and Mariah for a little bit too. Not as it relates to the sex ring, but the little moment that they shared. So basically, we had everything going on where, we thought maybe they were going to get together. So it kind of started with, it kind of got brought back up this week and started at the Hillary hour. And we'll get to Hillary in a second because my dislike for her grows every episode. But basically, Tessa completely defended Mariah in a way that it definitely went above and beyond friendship. That's the vibe I got. And that's the vibe that Hillary seemed to be getting too. Because now Hillary, and we all know how she is, now she's kind of like, what's going on with Tessa and Mariah? But basically, Tessa ends up finding out that Devon and Mariah are broken up. And during this whole thing, they end up at the gym, of course, because what character was not at the gym this week? Tessa and Mariah end up at the gym, and basically Tessa's telling her that Noah asked her about Crystal, her sister, and Tessa basically says that no one else ever actually asked her what her sister was like, and that she was so shocked and basically was, saying how great Noah was for doing that. And Mariah took it like, oh, I'm a bad friend. I didn't ask her about her sister or her life. And she tells Tessa this, and Tessa says, no, like everything good in her life is because of Mariah. And Mariah obviously is very happy about this. But then at the very end of this conversation, Noah comes up, and Mariah is clearly jealous. So it's going to be rough. The problem is I see Mariah and Tessa getting together, but I see Noah being really hurt in this process, and Tessa's going through so much right now that I think it's going to be a while, because Tessa she's in the middle of struggling with her sister and her life and everything she's been through. And as we learn later when Tessa and Mariah are talking in the coffee shop, not only is this her sister, but she basically raised Crystal like her daughter. So they have an extra close relationship that goes above and beyond this being her sister. So Tessa just has so much guilt and pain she has to work through. It'll probably take her a long time before she can be in a relationship. She's in the relationship with Noah, but getting out of a relationship and getting back into a new one might be more of a challenge with everything that's going on with her right now. Hubby Joe says, Hillary is very bitter and is only happy stirring the pot and upsetting everyone else. Yeah, oh my gosh, we can get to her next. So, Hillary, let's see. So she had a moment with Mariah. She had a couple moments with Mariah. She had a moment with Tessa. She, just every single character that she could mess with, pretty much, she messed with. Just by trying to stir the pot. Juliet, she had a moment with her. She pretty much made Juliet cry. And I was not a huge fan of Juliet, but after seeing her deal with Hillary, it made me like Juliet more. Demo says, poor Noah, he can never find love. DG says, I love Hillary. She reminds me of myself. If I'm not happy, nobody else is around me. Oh my God. Interesting. Well, Aaron says, Devon already noticed Mariah and Tessa getting close on the rooftop bar last month. Yeah, he did. He noticed them holding hands, kind of. Honey Smile said, so true, Demo, in response to poor Noah, never finding love. Terrell said, will Reed Hellstrom ever visit his dad, JT, in DC again? That's interesting, too, because it did come up a little bit in this week's episodes. But Reed basically said he wanted to stick around with his mom. DG says, I'm just glad that Noah has a dang storyline. All he normally does is babysit Sharon. That's funny. Well, yeah, and he does seem like the typical nice guy, which is great, but not when your girlfriend might have feelings for someone else. Hubby Joe, Devon is stupid for listening to Hillary and confronting Jordan. Yeah, I didn't get that. So Devon, it just seemed to me like he very quickly went from realizing what Hillary's like to maybe the last week or two. Now he seems like he's all Team Hillary again. I mean, I get the vibe that he just doesn't like Jordan, so maybe that has something to do with it. But even so, all Hillary had to do was say, "Yeah, well, I think that Jordan is using Lily and using the kids to get closer to her." He believed it like the second she said it. This is the man who divorced her because of all her lies and her manipulation, and he's just believing something that quickly? I don't know. Candace says, Hillary and Kane had an interesting chat when Kane said he thought she would enjoy the suffering of Lily, but Hillary didn't care. Yeah, that whole conversation was interesting. So, speaking of Kane, so let's get into him a little bit. So, basically, Hillary and Kane had this conversation where Hillary was trying to, I guess, get Kane angry by mentioning Lily and Jordan and how they were working together, and Kane didn't seem fazed by it. And for a moment, I thought it was because maybe he was starting to develop more feelings for Juliet. Maybe it didn't, when he went to the testing with Juliet, it didn't seem like they had, like Kane had feelings for Juliet, but I don't know. I was kind of thinking maybe Kane is leaning away from Lily, but then the scene where they were making waffles for the kids didn't seem like it. So I was curious why Kane didn't care, and well, not didn't care, but came off like he didn't care, unless he just didn't want to buy into Hillary's game and didn't want to give her a reaction because he knows her too well and he knows what she's after. So, but in the end, see, this is what I don't get. Why would a guy like Kane start talking about Maddie and Reed to someone like Hillary? Clearly he doesn't trust her, but he's going to go and talk about his personal business with her. I don't understand why he would let his guard down and do that. Because then, of course, we see Maddie and Reed together, and who should see them kissing but the one and only Hillary? And we know she's going to do something with that. I was surprised. I mean, first of all, poor Maddie. Hillary keeps approaching her, acting like she cares, but she does not care. And if I was Maddie's age and someone was acting like that to me and said, oh yeah, don't worry, like I saw you guys kissing, but I'm not going to say anything. At Maddie's age, I would probably believe it because she probably doesn't know Hillary as well as the adults because maybe she's shielded from some of the things that Hillary does, probably. So I just feel so bad for Maddie because she has no idea what Hillary's capable of doing. And I have a feeling that Hillary is going to go straight to Kane. I'm surprised we didn't see that this week, but probably next week. And Kane is, I don't even know. I don't understand what they can really even do. I know that Kane can try and keep Maddie from seeing Reed, but Kane's not even in the house anymore, and it seemed like Lily was a little more understanding about Maddie's relationship with Reed. Candace says, Hillary was around to see Maddie and Reed kiss. Yeah, that's when they took Hillary a bit far. Doolaman says, I think Hillary genuinely cares about Maddie. Could be. I mean, after all, this was her, I guess, niece-in-law. So the chances of her caring about Maddie are more likely than someone who's not related, legally anyway. I don't know, though. Something just, rubbed me the wrong way with that, and I really think that Hillary's going to use that against Kane somehow, or against someone, or she's going to do the opposite. She's going to play Maddie like, oh, well, I kept your secret, and you can come to me with anything, and let's have girl talk, and try to win Maddie over that way, and then be able to pit Maddie against her parents. Like, so for example, maybe she'll make Maddie get even angrier with Lily and Kane, and then that will cause even more drama. Terrell, Maddie is the new Lily. Yeah, it kind of seems that way. Terrell says, if they're going to age Johnny as a teenager, he will be the new Billy. That's interesting. Brittany, she is being fake when it comes to Maddie acting like she cares. Yeah, that's generally what I saw with that too. Candace, I need for Lily to sit down with Maddie and talk to her about when Lily and Daniel were together, or how Lily got an STD. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, is that of all people, Lily should be more understanding, and I don't see the big deal. It's not even like the litigation is still going on anymore. It's over and done with. The settlement has been arranged, and Kane's not working for the company anymore. At this point, I know it happened not too long ago, but at this point, nothing is still going on with Kane because everything has been resolved in one way or another. So they should just let it go and just let Maddie and Reed play it out. I mean, we've all seen that story where the two people who are not allowed to be together makes them want to be together even more. So they should just let it go and let it play out. But of course, it won't happen like that. DG, Hillary wants a source of info in the Ashby home so she can keep Lily away from Jordan. Maddie is pawn for Hillary. I agree. I think that's what she's going to do. Terrell, is Tracy supposedly coming back to Genoa City? That's a good question. What do you guys think? And I'll update you guys when we hear about that. Meanwhile, why don't we get to the law moment? So this week I had two. So the first one was when Victor and Nick run into each other at the gym, and at the end of that conversation, Nick's trying to be all like, tough, I guess, and he goes, hey, Dad, grab some mineral water, put it on my account, I got you. I thought that was so hilarious, because obviously, like, subtextually, it was hilarious, and clearly Nick was just trying to, act all tough, but just the fact that he's like, I got you, yeah, I laughed. And then the other law moment I have is when Nikki is with Nick right after Nikki, Nick, Victoria, and Victor all bump into each other, and then they don't end up eating lunch together. So Nikki goes with Nick, and her phrase, Namaste the Newman way. Now that is something we should all live by. So we touched on that. Terrell says, do you remember when Eddie from Family Matters took over the role of Malcolm Winters for a short period of time? So I used to watch Family Matters, but I haven't watched that since I was a kid in the 90s when it was on, so I do not remember. DG says, Victor always one-ups Nick no matter what he does. Nick always comes up looking like a schmuck. Yeah, that's a shame. It's true, though. But, because I think what Victor had going for him is that he played it so coolly, and Nick was not so cool in that moment. Even saying, I got you, no. Icewoman 1887 says, Lily should know better after what Neil and Drew did to her when she was with Daniel. Lily and Daniel then ran off and got married. Exactly. So I do not understand the logic with what Lily's thinking. She didn't tell Maddie she definitely couldn't hang out with him or be with him. All she said was cool it down, but she should have realized. And as we're all saying, for someone who wasn't born that long ago, she should still remember what happened since it wasn't that long ago. Eden Maddox says, I love The Young and the Restless. Yeah, it's a really interesting soap, and I enjoy it too. Terrell says, I wonder what Sophia, Neil's baby mama, has been up to now. Interesting. So, okay, we have a couple minutes left, so why don't we talk about what our predictions are?
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
So, let's start with the obvious here. Devon and Hillary, they're getting back together. That's my first prediction. Victoria and Billy will get back together either before or after Phyllis does something super crazy. And what I mean by that is either she'll do something crazy and that will cause the split with her and Billy, or Billy and her won't split, and then the split will be because Billy decides, okay, I'm going to go with Victoria now. Then Phyllis will make it her personal vendetta to go after the two of them, or at least Victoria. So first two predictions, the sex ring and everything happening with Crystal. I think that, well, this isn't so much of a prediction as a hope. I hope that somehow Abby discovers what's going on. Maybe somehow she sees something with Zach because he pissed her off, and she, I don't know about follows him, but just discovers something. That would be awesome. We kind of saw this in some of the previews too, but Tessa obviously confronting Alice. So, but I think that from that little preview, I think my prediction is that Tessa's words are going to affect Crystal to the point where she's going to try and escape. DG says that, oh, thank you, DG. He said, or he or she, I'm sorry, says that I'm a great host. Thank you. Sorry, I don't know your name. My name is Rachel. And my name is Rachel. And in case anyone missed this, you can actually find me, since we're wrapping down now anyway, you can find me on Twitter or Instagram at Rach Goodman, or on Facebook at Rachel Ann Goodman. It is so awesome being here with you guys. Let me see if there's any other predictions in the chat. DG says, once the sex ring story bursts open, Abby will have hell to pay with Victor because it will cause a huge scandal at Newman. Victor will blame Abby. Yeah, definitely. And I could definitely see Victor blaming Abby and that severing their relationship. Aaron says, I think Alice is Zach's mom. And we were talking about that last week. We weren't really sure what the relationship was. At first, I thought they were dating, but now, yeah, I kind of think Alice might be the mom, or the thing is, Zach is way too rude to her though. It could be the mom, but we'll see. Maybe they're just two people who happen to meet somewhere. Hubby Joe says Scott will save Abby from Zach and hook up. Definitely, that is happening. Scott and Abby, yeah, they're gonna hook up at one point. Terrell, I hope Alice is Tessa's mom. That would be interesting. That would be very interesting. And we were talking about that last week too. It's definitely a possibility. And then Doolaman says Nick and Sharon. All right, well, on that note, I think that about wraps up our predictions and our show for this week. So again, my name is Rachel, and it was amazing being here and having all my wonderful co-hosts with me. You guys definitely make the show. So the show is going to be every Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific time going forward. It was 7 before. Now it's going to be 5. So to leave you guys, we have Praying by Kesha, because it's an amazing song and could be pretty much applied to any of the bad characters, Hillary, that we can think of. So I hope you guys have a great week, and I will catch you next Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Bye, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.